Good evening. It's Thursday night and it feels like about Tuesday. 540 came back today, which is several weeks behind schedule and likely significantly over budget. So I dropped that car off the day before I flew to Puerto Rico for the cruise, which was April 26th or 27th. I think the 26th. And the instructions were paint the trunk lid, paint the hood, and paint the roof. And blend / paint whatever's required into the right side, this piece of the A pillar that comes up and goes over the doors and then turns into the C pillar. So all of that was damaged from like hail damage back in Missouri 15 years ago, something like that. And they repainted it back then, but they pretty much rattle canned it. It was really bad. There were paint lines, clear coat failure. It was just ugly. So I remember explaining to the shop owner of my paint sublet that I wanted that done and paint over this 2.5-inch strip of whatever you call it down into the door jambs where you won't see it and put a seam in there somewhere. He looked me in the eye and said, okay. So we tried to pick the car up about a week ago and that was not done. The roof was done. Everything else was done, just not the strip. And he said, oh, well, you should have told me that. I'm like, dude, I did tell you that. What do I need to do? Print out a freaking checklist for you to work on? Anyways, fast forward a little bit. I had them paint that, which meant, from here, from the front fender by the mirror, A pillar all the way back to the C, and then we had some damage in the rear quarter panel. So I just said repaint the whole quarter panel, blend in the door, whatever you have to do. Like, I'm willing to pay for it. I just want it right. So it took longer than expected. Back today. Paint work is good. There's some imperfections here and there, which seems to be par for the course on aftermarket paint. That's just how it goes. It's not perfect. Match is pretty good, so that's all nice. But since I had the door handles out, that means you can't open the doors from the exterior. So that meant they left all 4 windows down for a month. So the interior of that 540 was completely coated in sanding dust and body dust. The seats, the dash, the trims, I mean, it's probably in the headliner. It is a mess. So I spent hours on that today, vacuuming, wiping, very carefully cleaning the interior. And it's about 90% done. There's a bit more to go. Not finding any permanent damage from, I don't think, any permanent damage from that, but it's so frustrating to send a car to the body shop because you deliver a clean car that's like nice and freshly detailed and just clean, and you get back something that looks like it's been in a barn for 25 years. So you've got to go through the whole thing again and kind of start over. But today was reassembly of the hood badge, the grills, there's little plastic trims right here on the inside. Of course, the washer nozzles, the hose harness, the clips, the hood insulation, all of that stuff has to go back together. Windshield gasket went in today. Still have to do the sunroof gasket, the roof rails, the trunk or the rear window gasket. Honestly, the worst part of this entire thing is replacing the grommet that brings the wiring into the trunk. And I wanted to replace that grommet because mine was tired and starting to split. It wasn't open, you couldn't see the wires in it, but I could tell that the rubber was degraded. So having to take all of those connectors off, get the wires down to the pins, label each one, figure out a way to mark each one so we know it works when it goes back together, tape everything up, tie it to a coat hanger, shove it through the grommet, bring the grommet through the chassis in 3 different places where it meets and seals. It's like 4 or 5 hours today. It was brutal. I'm exhausted. Larissa's here. We just had dinner. We had some pasta. It's been a nice night, and I am now going to bed. Back at it tomorrow. We've got a lot of work to do, and I'll talk to you tomorrow on Friday. Good night.